Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I'm very happy to know that my students are doing well, and for a teacher, the greatest gift for a teacher is to know that your students are doing very well. I'm a very happy person today. Today I would like to share with you actually a study that we have conducted in 2008. It's a very simple study which is to determine the prevalence and distribution of HPV in Malaysia. And just a brief introduction to show you the worldwide perspective of cervical cancer. You can see that cervical cancer remains the second most common cancer in women in the world, and every year about 530,000 new cases are being diagnosed, and of these 275,000 deaths were reported. This is from I think Global Can 2008. And just to show you the difference between the world perspective and the Asian perspective, 88% of these occur in developing countries like Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and half of which are coming from Asia. And of these, you can see that Thailand contributes the highest incident, followed by Malaysia. And this again is from Global Can 2008. Now, the first speaker has spoken, explained about HPV virus. I just want to stress here that there are two groups, low risk and high risk, and what we are interested here is in the high risk oncogenic types, which are usually associated with the most severe pap smear abnormalities and invasive cancer. Most of the HPV infections are transient, especially in the younger age groups. The infections are usually asymptomatic, and there are with no clinical consequences. Now, HPV is the most common sexually transmitted viruses, with more than 100 different types being identified. And as we know, types 16 and 18 are the most prevalent, high-risk oncogenic types. The rest are 31, 33, 35, 39, and so on. And HPV 16 and 18 contributes to associated with about 70% of invasive cervical cancers. And about 50% are associated with high-grade lesions, CIN2 and 3, and about 30% are associated with low-grade lesions. You can see that as the lesions progress, the prevalence is higher, whereas the low oncogenic, non-oncogenic viruses, HPV 18, 6 and 11, the majority are associated with the genital warts, and only about 10% are associated with low-grade lesions. The prevalence of HPV genotypes throughout the world, as you can see here, HPV 16 is the most prevalent, HPV 16 and 18, with HPV 16 forming about 50 to 70% of the cases throughout the world. And the distribution of HPV genotypes in invasive cervical cancer, the distribution, if you can see, they are more or less the same viruses with the different prevalence here: 16, 18, 33, 45, 31, 58, 52 in the world. In Asia is 16, 18, 58, 33, 52. Slightly different. We have 58 and 52 are seems to be more commoner in the Asian region compared to the world. In Japan, it's also 16, 18, 52, 33, 58. In China, 16, 18, 31, 52, 58. Indonesia, 16, 18, 52, 58. Thailand, 16, 18, 52. So there is a common distribution here in the Asian region, where 52 and 58 appear to be common in the Asian region. Now, the current available methods for detection of HPV-DNA, we have the real-time PCR, and for diagnostic purposes, we now have the Abbott and Roche real-time PCR. We have PCR, this is usually used in for research, can also be used for diagnosis. And we have the hybridization assay. An example is the Daiichi hybrid capture 2, which is FDA approved. And I think these two are also being just approved, FDA approved for diagnosis in diagnostic for diagnostic purposes. Now, the scenario in Malaysia, cervical cancer, based on the 2006 National Cancer Registry, is the third most common cancer among women. It has dropped from second in the NCR 2003 to third place in 2006. Of which a total of 1,074 cases were registered, with an overall age standardized rate of 12.9 per 100,000 population. And cervical cancer, the incidence rate increased with age after 30 years and peaks at ages 60 to 69 years. And among the three major ethnic groups, Chinese women show the highest incidence of cervical cancer in Malaysia. We were lucky to be given a grant by the Ministry of Health to conduct a study. In Malaysia, there are several HPV studies being conducted, most of which are on small numbers of samples. So we wanted to do on a bigger number of samples to determine the prevalence and the distribution in Malaysia, seeing that our neighboring countries already have a very good project and which has been in literature many years ago. So here we did a 3-year study based on from 5 hospitals, 3 from the Klang Valley, HUKM, Hospital Tuanku Ampuan Rahimah Klang, HKL. We also did put samples from Hospital Senar Bahia in All-Star, and also in Kota Baru, Raja Perempuan Zainab. And we managed to collect about 463 paraffin embedded tissue samples from both pre-malignant lesions, the CIN lesion 1, 2, 3, and from invasive cervical cancer, squamous carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, and so on. Ethics approval was given both from Ministry of Health and UKM Medical Center ethics committees. The main objective is to determine the prevalence and distribution of HPV genotypes in Malaysian women. We use the real-time PCR, which could identify 12 different types of HPV. And I would now like to share with you our results. Now, the frequency of HPV genotypes in both pre-invasive and invasive cancer. As you can see, in the invasive cancers, in squamous cell carcinoma, the prevalence of HPV is about 96%. Yeah? In high-grade lesions, in CIN3, CIS is about 93%. In CIN2, we detected about 50% high-risk HPV types. In CIN1, about 44%. Yeah? So the prevalence of HPV is very high in invasive cancers, almost 100%. The distribution of HPV genotypes is 16, 18, 52, 33, 58, 45, 39, 56, and so on. The most common HPV type present in our cohort of Malaysian women are HPV 16, 18, 52, 33, and 58 in that order, the 5 most common HPV genotypes. The prevalence and distribution in pre-invasive and invasive lesions, you can see here, the red bars are HPV 16, the blue bars are HPV 18, and in all grades of lesions and invasive lesions, HPV 16 and HPV 18 are present, but in different percentages. Okay? So the most prevalent is 16 and 18, whether it is low grade, high grade, or invasive. And even among the different age groups, HPV 16 and 18 are also the most prevalent HPV types. Now, if we look at the types of cancers, the most common is squamous cell carcinoma of the cervix, and followed by adenocarcinoma in 343 cases. In squamous cell carcinoma, the red bar, HPV 16 is the most most prevalent HPV types present in squamous cell carcinoma, whereas in adenocarcinoma, HPV 18 is the most common, and this is also as in line with what has been reported in literature. The prevalence of high-risk HPV type based on the 3 major ethnic groups. The highest HPV genotype is in the Chinese, which is about 88%, and this is again, it correlates with the high incidence of cervical cancer in the Chinese invasive. Now, if you look at the distribution in the different ethnic groups, okay, the distribution of HPV for a researcher is quite interesting to see, because we want to look at the whether there is any difference in the pathogenesis of the difference between the ethnic groups with the distribution of HPV. In the Malays, is HPV 16, 18, 58, 56, 52. In the Chinese, it's 16, 18, 33, 52, 45, and 58. And Indian is 16, 18, 51, 45, 56, 52. Okay, there's some difference there in the different ethnic groups. The reason we don't know, maybe some genetic reasons, polymorphisms, or maybe in lifestyle practices. That is an interesting subject for us to research on in our society. The distribution in the pre-invasive cervical lesions compared to the invasive cervical lesions. In the CIN lesions, the distribution is 16, 52, 33, 58, 18. Whereas in invasive lesions, HPV 18 now comes into the picture. So 16, 18, 52, 58, 33. So this is again very interesting for those who are interested to research on the pathogenesis and the the multi-ethnic society in Malaysia. Now, in our samples, we found that more than half of the cases harbors more than one HPV genotype, whereas about 44% has a single genotype. About 37% has got two genotypes. About 50% has got three genotypes, and about 4% has four genotypes, and so on. So multiple HPV genotypes are more commonly seen in the samples, abnormal samples. The distribution of common single and multiple HPV types. For single type 16 and 18, between the two, 16 is the most prevalent, the highest, 25, about 26%. The most common combination is 16 and 18, which contribute to about 15%. Yeah? Now, if we look at the combination between 16 and 18, when we combine 16 and 18, the prevalence is about 60%, meaning that if we the vaccine which is now available will cover about 60% of our population if it is based on these figures. So in summary, the prevalence of HPV in pre-invasive and invasive lesions is about 86%, in pre-invasive lesions 78%, invasive lesions 89%. The distribution is 16, 18, 52, 33, 58, the five most prevalent. And if we compare that to the to our neighbors, our distribution is the same as Thailand and Indonesia, except for the ranking is a bit different, but it's exactly the same as in Indonesia. And 16 and 18 is common throughout the world, in Asia, in the world. The five most prevalent genotypes, HPV 16, which comprise of 60%, followed by 18. 16 and 18 combined are the most prevalent in both pre-invasive and invasive cancers. 16 and 18 are the most prevalent genotypes in invasive cancer in all major ethnic groups. Multiple HPV infections are more common than single HPV infection. In pre-invasive lesions, single HPV infection is more common than multiple HPV infection. But in invasive lesions, multiple HPV infections are more common for those also who is interested in research. Yeah. In conclusion, I would like to say that therefore HPV vaccine targeting the HPV 16 and 18 would cover about 60% of our population, and it would have a substantial impact on cervical cancer prevention in Malaysia, Dr. Maimun. Yes. So we are going in the right direction, yeah, by vaccinating our young girls now, yeah, and I hope that we can start, HPV-DNA tests together with cytology screening, and I'm very sure that if we use these two, it will definitely contribute to a more effective screening program in Malaysia. Thank you very much. I would like to thank my collaborators, Dr. Rashdan and his team, Dr. Vignesh and his team from HKL, Dr. Farouk from Klang, Dr. Mukarama, Dr. Zainal Abidin from Kota Baru, and also Dr. Amir, Dr. Zubaida from the Institute of Medical Research, who are the program leaders for this project. Thank you very much.